We are getting ready to taste this rose marzipan from TeaLula. It says it's a European favorite. The tea is heaven for lovers of an intense almond flavor. A touch of rose petal and cardamom add an exotic Middle Eastern note to one of our more luxurious dessert teas. I'm excited. We've already been smelling. And it says brew 1 teaspoon of tea per 8 ounce of water at 208 for 3 minutes, decant. So there's your ingredients. Black tea, flavor, which normally I don't buy teas with flavor, but I love almond. It's one of my favorite aromas. And so I decided I was going to go for this one. I also thought maybe the rose buds and the rose petals would be pretty. It's got roasted almonds in it. The almonds are roasted almonds have almonds and caramelized sugar. Rose petals, cardamom, rose buds, and vanilla pieces. So I'm going to look for all those things. So here's my first glimpse at the tea. And I always do all of my tea the same. And so rather than the instructions for my tasting notes, I've got it just short of 5 ounces. And we're going to use a gaiwan. This is a rose petal. So I always have fun trying to pick apart the tea to find the ingredients. Sometimes we have pretty pink rose petals in tea when I get the rose tea, and I was almost expecting that, but it is not. But first, look at the tea. Well, here's one that's a little bit larger. So it is more of a full leaf tea, which I like seeing. I'm going to put that over here with my other ingredients to show you. I think there are a few sticks in it right there, so we're taught to always look for those because those sometimes are just a filler. But for the most part, it looks like really nice black tea that's been rolled. Don't know the country, but here I picked out and found all the ingredients. So in the middle is that black tea, and then we have the rosebud. I do like the rosebuds. Look at them, they're so pretty. And here's a piece of vanilla, and that's a rather large piece. That's a rose petal, and that's a cardamom pod. Now, I did buy some cardamom recently because it's my one friend's favorite smell. And these are the little cardamom seeds that come out of the pod. So there's the cardamom pod, and continuing around, there's a nut. Now, there's not a lot of each of these ingredients in the tea. I had to search for the vanilla and the nut. There's quite a few of the rose petal leaves. There is after the first quick steep. Rosebud was kind of floating on top of the water. And here is the color. It's a nice golden color. Second steep going on, but I just think it's cool that I was able to pick out all of the pieces. I don't normally, sometimes I'm not able to do that. I did the second steep for quite a bit longer, maybe a whole minute, and it's still golden, but a bit darker. And there is the leaves as they're opening up. Kind of see two different color leaves, almost like it's two different kinds of black tea.
Here are my tasting notes for this rose marzipan from TeaLula, and I tasted it August 14th. It's a black tea, origin not known, it did not say. Um, Processing, I could see it's rolled, and I like that it's not CTC. From the website, it said it's a European favorite. This tea is heaven for lovers of intense almond flavor. A touch of rose petal and cardamom add an exotic Middle Eastern note to one of our most luxurious dessert teas. So I was excited to try this one. I usually do not buy teas anymore with flavoring in it, but this one caught my eye because I love intense almond flavor. And I know I do like that rose black tea as well. And I like the smell of cardamom, and this cardamom was done just right. It wasn't overpowering, it enhanced it just right. And so you see the ingredients there. Um, I had to look up what marzipan was. It was like, oh, I know what marzipan is, but I'm not sure. And it's a confection, like for cakes, cookies, consisting primarily of sugar or honey and almond meal. Almond meal is ground almonds. So sometimes it's augmented with almond oil or extract, and so you can color it. So here it is rolled out, so it is kind of like a consistency of dough, but as you see, it's not dough. It's almond meal and sugar and maybe some sweeteners. And so sometimes you see it rolled out and then real thin and just laid over a cake, kind of as a replacement instead of icing. Those cakes that look real smooth. And you wonder how they did that. Here I grabbed an image of someone doing a marzipan rose, so that goes with the name of this tea being rose marzipan, because that's a common thing that they do after they roll it out and cut it up, and they make little roses. Here you can see the roses are colored pink because they colored the dough. I was intrigued by their description, a European favorite. And so I looked up where Europe was because I generally know where Europe is, but I was like, do I really know? And I was just surprised how many countries are considered to be in Europe, from the United Kingdom to Ireland to France and Russia. You see it's all there in the lighter color. There's tons of countries that are included in Europe. And for me, Ireland, Irish, and French, their cuisines are totally different. So this tea being a European favorite, somehow I have trouble grasping it. And I also wanted to play with it gives it an exotic Middle Eastern note. So I was like, well, what's that mean? Because Europe and Middle Eastern are two different places. And so I searched for it, and I got these ladies with the fancy eyes and the luxurious long eyelashes and fancy jewels. And they do have their own taste flair. But I still don't know if I relate either Europe or Middle East to this tea. And I was like, what's exotic mean? Exotic means it's very different or strange or unusual, usually introduced from another country. So I think, that's more of the interpretation is the word exotic, meaning this tea is usually drank in another country than America, so that makes it a bit different. Here's my tasting notes. Aroma, At first, oh goodness, oh my goodness, I needed to smell that. That was my very first thought. Most certainly almond, which is one of my favorite smells. The dry has a strong smell, and I think it has that almond paste smell, which has marzipan down pat. Because when we talked up here about that almond meal being ground almonds, I think when I go to the store, it's usually almond paste is how I would buy it. And so I need this in a candle. Definitely, I just wanted to smell it. And hubby's first comment was, "Oh wow, it smells like chocolate." And I had to laugh. It doesn't smell anything like chocolate. He obviously doesn't know what my favorite smell is. So he needs to learn. He just doesn't know his aromas very well, but he thought it was Cocoa Puff cereal. Maybe you think it's Cocoa Puff cereal, and I'm wrong. And he said it's definitely pungent. So there are really no wrong answers when you are smelling. It's all based on what you can relate it to. So let me know if you agree with me or him if you've had this tea. Um, I also got the cardamom, which is in the bakery and spice, and I have a friend whose favorite smell is cardamom. And so I was like, what is cardamom? And I had recently bought the seeds. And so I was very familiar with what it smelled like. It's very subtle in this tea, but if you have something to compare it to and you know what cardamom smells like, you could pull that out. And it's very interesting in combination with the almond. I kind of liked the pairing. Did not get any flower or rose smell, and the sweetness comes out in the wet smell. But otherwise, the smells were the same. I've got golden color. Body was light, almost like water. I usually don't get bodies that low unless it's maybe an herb. Um, Astringency, I just put weird. I didn't even put a graphic in like I normally do. I said it's almost non-existent. As it's not a smooth astringency. I definitely know what that tastes like, and that's the lowest of my categories. And it's not even that. It's just non-existent. Um, it did not gain astringency for longer steeps, which was nice because I don't like astringency too much. I do like the bright light category though the best. Um, Taste. I look for the tea leaf flavor first and I do not to detect it. So the black tea that's in it, I tried to get black tea flavor. Eh, I couldn't get it. It is the flavoring that comes through, but it's nice and not overdone. I do not like it when it really tastes like flavoring. Like you take a taste and you can tell it's artificial flavoring of some kind. But this one was well done. It wasn't too much. I did taste the cardamom and can pull out that flavor. And the almond taste is more in the aroma as the nose and mouth work together. So the almond, I'm not really tasting it. I'm kind of tasting it through my nose, if that makes sense, as you smell. Um, this is the tea that you want to hold a warm cup in the winter and sit and smell a lot before you sip. Yep, that's what this one is. In the Gaiwan, I was able to get several steeps out of it. And sometimes with flavored teas, the flavoring comes out in the first steep and then the next steeps are flat. It's like it'd be like if you put liquid artificial flavoring in your on top of your leaves and it all came out in the first steep and then your next steep there was no artificial flavoring left. But that wasn't the case with this one. I did get several steeps out of it, so this for blended teas, which I usually don't like, this one's done really well. For a blended tea, it's done very well. Hubby says he gets chocolate, like a brick of chocolate, and he loves chocolate, and he's drinking this up faster than I can brew it. Once he gets chocolate in his head, it does not escape, and he consumes it fast. He did drink this one up a lot. He um, finish after several drinks. I can feel it sticking at the back of my throat, and this makes it go good with delicate cookies or low sugar desserts, kind of like they suggest it's a dessert tea. So I wanted, it was like it was sticking there, so I wanted something to wash it down. Or to get that out of the back of my throat. And the best thing for that was uh, low sugar cookie. So it really strangely went well with it for that reason. Hubby, of course, gave it 5 hearts. He couldn't drink it fast enough. But to get 5 hearts, I would want to keep it on hand, and I'm not sure I would want to keep this one on hand. But I did really like the tea for a tea with flavoring, and so I really like the soft cardamom flavor that wasn't overdone. So you get a little bit of spice in there. And I don't like a lot of the stiff spices. But I like this one the way it smells. So in moderation, it's perfect. Um, and it would be very good for a tea party. And it's lovely with cookies and scones.